Hello everyone, welcome to today's deck profile. Today we're doing a interesting one. Usually I play decks as pure as possible, but this is one that I played during the branded format before Therion and all that came out. This is Branded-Predaplant. Really fun deck. It builds a ridiculous amount of advantage. So let's hop right into it. Starting off with the Branded-Predaplant stuff, we play 2 copies of Orpha Scorpio. When it's summoned, you can send a monster from your hand to the grave, special a Predaplant from your deck. It's one of your main starters for the deck, and will usually get you your Darlingtonia Cobra from the deck. I'm playing 2 Biblisp. If this card is sent to the grave, add a Predaplant monster from your deck to your hand. If a monster with a Predator counter is on the field, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. Great searcher, especially if you discard it off of your Scorpio. 2 copies of Bufolicula. In the Pendulum Scale, this allows you to fusion summon using monsters you control, so long as it's a dark fusion monster. If this card was sent to the face-up extra deck or grave, because it was fusion material, you can add a dark pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, except for Bufolicula. Predaplants do have a lot of one-ofs when it comes to monsters. 1 Darlingtonia Cobra, which will add a fusion or polymerization spell card from your deck to your hand on special summon, but that is a once per duel. 1 Clematis Undo, which allows you to fusion summon with monsters on your field or monsters on your opponent's field with a Predator counter. Scarcinian, which, if your opponent declares a direct attack, can special summon this. At the end of the damage step, destroy the opponent's monster that attacked this card. And if this card is destroyed by battle or sent from field to the grave via card effect, you can add a Predap card from deck to hand. Last Predaplant monster is 1 Triantis. While it's in the Pendulum Scale, you can use other monsters in your Pendulum Scale for a fusion summon, which is great with your Bufolicula. If this card is sent to the grave or face-up extra deck because of fusion material, you can place Predator counters on monsters your opponent controls, or you control, as long as it's equal numbers on the ones you control and your opponent controls, than the regular Predator counter effect. For their spells, I'm playing 3 copies of Predapractice. This is a great starter, allowing you to special any Predaplant from hand, then add a Predap card from deck. However, you're locked into fusion monsters for the rest of the turn. Really great card, was really expensive for a while, but it's dropped a significant amount since then. 1 Instant Fusion. This will summon out your Predaplant Ambulmates from the extra deck, which will get your entire combo going. 1 Predaprime Fusion, which allows you to fusion summon a dark fusion monster using monsters you control, or either field, so long as you use 2. So if you're going into something like your Triff, you can use 2 you control, 1 your opponent controls. Then for Predaplant traps, we play the 1 Predaplanting. You can set a Predaplant from deck to grave to put a Predator counter on each card each monster your opponent controls. Then, if you special summon a Dark Fusion monster, you can banish this card from grave to destroy a card your opponent controls. This is really great, especially if you send your Biblisp during your opponent's turn to get a search. That's it for the Predaplant stuff. Now for the Branded, we play 1 Aluber. On summon, he grabs a Branded spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Then, if you lose a fusion monster by battle or card effect because of your opponent, you can special this card by negating the effect of a monster your opponent controls. Play 1 Ad Libitum. If it is banished or sent to the grave for a fusion summon, you can target a level 8 or higher fusion monster, special summon it. During your main phase, you can make all monsters in the field lose attack equal to level times 100 until the end of the opponent's turn. You're rarely going to use this effect. You're really just going to use the effect to get back something like your Mirror Jade. 1 Fallen Valbaz. He is super poly if you null summon him or special summon him and discard a card. And Ra's Disciple. This is very good for the Raw Disciple lock that I'll show you in a second. Play 3 copies. Branded Opening. You can discard 1 card, target it, and take a Despia from monster, either add it to your hand or special summon it in defense. However, you are locked into fusion monsters for the rest of the turn. If a fusion monster is destroyed by card effect, banish this from your grave instead. This is great. It gets you to your Luber, or late game you can grab Ad Libitum with it, but it's a good starter for the deck. Of course, 3 copies of Branded Fusion. Fusion summons from deck 1 monster that lists Fauna Valbaz. If you've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently, you know what this card does. 1 Branded in red, which allows you to target a Despia or Fallen Valbaz in grave, add it to hand, and then fusion summon by banishing the materials. This is what you might set off of Albion. 1 Super Poly, this works with the Predaplant stuff, with the branded stuff, just good card to play one of, especially if you can search it off of your Darlingtonia. 1 Branded Banishment, you can target a Despia or level 8 or higher fusion monster in your grave, special summon it, then fusion summon, using by banishing fusion materials listed from either field, so it's another Super Poly. And finally, Branded Expulsion. This is what you usually set off your first turn Albion. You tribute a fusion monster to special summon, or you tribute a fusion monster to target 2 non-fusion monsters, special summon them to your field, or if you tributed one that mentions Fallen Valbaz, special 1 to your opponent's field. I tribute Raw Disciple. It's scummy. I summon it to my opponent's field, and they cannot special summon. And they can only tribute Raw Disciple if it is for one of the 3 god cards. I don't feel good about playing this, but it wins you games if they do not have the out. That's it for the branded stuff. We do play a small Therion engine of Lilyboria and Regulus, along with the field spell. Lilyboria searches field spell searches Regulus. Regulus is an Omni-Negate, and to get there, we play 2 Lone Fire Blossom and 2 Rosebell of Revelation. Rosebell, if you've already gotten your Lilyboria, you can grab the Pendulum Monster for Predaplants. And then finally, DPE, because you can search Fusion Destiny off of your Darlingtonia Cobra. Moving on to the extra deck. Play 2 copies of Predaplant Ambulades. When it's fusion summoned, add a Predaplant card or monster or a Predap spell trap from your deck to your hand, or face-up extra deck to your hand. You can target 1 monster your opponent controls to Predator counter, or 1 monster you control tributed to special a Predaplant monster from your deck. This is a really great card that came out in Difo. It really gets a lot of your plays going. We play 2 copies of Dracospelia. You usually end on 1, then you can Super Poly into a second one. It can quick effect place a Predator counter on a monster your opponent controls, and all monsters your opponent controls with a Predator counter have their effects negated, or activated effects are negated, which is really great to kind of control the game state. Play 1 Chimera Felicia. Once per turn, you can target a monster on the field with a level less than or equal to this to banish it. When this card has an attack declared with it, your opponent's monster loses 1,000. You gain 1,000 attack. And then once per turn during the next standby phase, after this card is sent to the grave, add a Poly spell or a fusion spell from deck to hand. So if you want to go into this during your combo and get it into your grave, you can then search Super Poly next turn. 1 Triff. This is a Solemn to negate a summon. Take 3 dark monsters and gains the original attack of all other monsters in the field with a Predator counter. Then Starving Venom, Super Poly target. And Starving Venom Predapower Fusion Dragon, also Super Poly target. Takes 1 Dark Fusion monster and 1 Fusion monster. You rarely go into him, but if you do, it's usually pretty significant. That's really it for the Predaplant extra deck. We're then playing 2 Albion. He takes a Fallen Valbaz and a Light monster. So this is how you get your Ra's Disciple engraved with Branded Fusion. Then during the end phase, if this card's in the grave to center this turn, you're able to set a Branded Spell or Trap from deck. That's how you get your trap cards that you want to mess with your opponent with. 1 Albalentus. It contact fuses, but we don't really use that effect. It's mainly if you send it to the grave, you can add a Poly or a fusion spell from deck. 1 Lebellion, 1 Mirror Jade. Lebellion allows you to discard a fusion summon by shuffling banished field or grave back in the deck. Mirror Jade allows you to send a Fauna Valbaz fusion monster from extra deck to grave to banish a card your opponent controls. That's how you usually get your Albion in grave. Then we're playing 1 Despian Caterus. It's mainly just a filler slot. This could be really anything. I just use Caterus, and of course, 1 DP. Let me show you a couple combos you can do with this deck. So starting off, opening Branded Fusion plus any other card in your hand, you can activate Branded Fusion. From your deck, you can send your Fallen of Albaz and your Raz Disciple, which will allow you to fusion summon your Albion. Then Albion will activate, allowing you to banish Fallen of Albaz and Albion to summon Lubellion. Using Lubellion's effect, discarding the 1 card you have, to then shuffle these 2 back into the deck and extra deck. Then you'll fusion summon your Mirror Jade. You can activate Mirror Jade, sending Albion to banish any card on your field because you have not normal summoned yet. Then you'll enter end phase, which will trigger Albion to set your Brand Expulsion. During your opponent's standby phase, you contribute Lubellion to summon Raz Disciple to your opponent's field, and whatever you want to your field. That's how you get the Raz Disciple lock with just Branded Fusion and any other card, really. That's the main combo in the deck. Therions are pretty easy to get to. You just get Lilyborea off of any plant, send Lilyborea. Lilyborea will add the Discalcium. Discalcium will add Regulus. Regulus will special, equipping Lilyborea from grave. And that gives you an Omni Negate for having 1 card in hand. So yeah, those are the main combos in the deck. When I do a more Predaplant based video in the future, I'll show you those, but this is the deck that I've kind of been twiddling with for a while. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Make sure to like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.